Hey, you. Welcome back to the channel. And guys, today we're going to review Krypton episode House of Zod. And guys, I want to say that I'm loving the stories we're getting here with Krypton. I also like at the pace uh, that it's moving. Um, and the actors who are coming over to this show, I recognize them from many other shows. I think they're pretty much doing a great job. Earlier, I had a bit of a problem with the main character, Segel, played by the actor, I believe his name is Cameron Cuff. Whereas I feel he's done a great job at encompassing the hero complex, the characteristics of a hero. There are certain things, and I think this could be more so to a preference on my part about the type of Krypton story I like to, see told. And that is, if you look in the comic books, the Kryptonians were pretty much emotionalist beings. And Segel to me seems kind of like a cool type Earth type hero. And I think that's what's kind of been bothering me. Not so much that particularly his acting is, not well in the show. I think that he can deliver, what the show is directing him to do. But other than that, I think the stories have been, entertaining enough to keep me aboard. And I like that they are moving along with getting us introduced to more characters. As the writers had said, we would be seeing many other characters in the Kryptonian universe. So I guess without further ado, we can talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and that's what happened with these two men, or with this particular man here, who we found out to be a member of the Zod household, and not just any member, but perhaps the one of the most famous, General Zod, Drew Zod. And we get this reveal in a combat scene between him and Lyda, as Lyda's saving Segel as we got to see, try to escape Zod's compound. It's very interesting that everybody's time traveling on this show. Of course, we have Brainiac, who's time traveling. We got Adam Strange, and now we got appear to be Zod, who's time traveling. Which obviously would be perhaps to save Krypton from Brainiac, as he's been made aware of it through this timeline of some sort, and he's back. But we can see that he's still Zod, as the Zod that we know, how he deals with his subordinates, that he kills them without hesitation to fulfill his objective. So those characteristics, as I had said in an earlier review, were very much close to General Zod that we know. Now, I didn't know that they would reveal to him that, or to us, that he was General Zod. What we got to see was a type of flashback sequence with Jaina, who is now the Primus Zod. We got to see her dealing basically how she became the head of the Zod family, and that was in this type of trial between her and a sibling. They had to do this kind of rite of passage type situation to be able to be worthy. And she left her brother out in the snow to die. So my assumption was that he was this person coming back to let them know he had returned, perhaps to seek some type of revenge, or something to that effect. They didn't go in that direction. They went in the direction that this is a reveal of one of the main big characters that was expected to come. I have no problem with that. Some people online have a issue with that. I'm fine with that. I can go with that. Speaking of time traveling, Brainiac, he was absent from this show this week. But we were, of course, kind of spoiled in this promo for next week's episode that Brainiac does reveal himself. So this show does move along, whereas I think that certain stories would go on perhaps the entire season. They're jumping right in it. I can't remember or recall the name of the other religious group that Segel encounters whilst he saves or one of their members and is trying to escape from General Zod. But I believe it's Cytonians or Kytonians or something like that. But they worship this ice goddess. And it's very interesting because when you think about the major religion of Krypton, which worships the sun god Ra, fire, you think of fire, you think of, and then you think of this ice goddess, you think of ice, of course, you kind of think of this fire and ice type thing. They're split in their beliefs and what deities they worship. But I find that very interesting in that they're against the El family, who does worship I would imagine favors the sun god Ra. But they have this door sealed with the El sigil on it. And in there, we're wondering the entire episode what this is, and we're kind of spoiled on it if you've seen next week's promo. So I guess it's not spoiler as we've seen it, but so I hope I'm not spoiling for you guys if you haven't. But apparently Doomsday is behind that door. So we already got Doomsday, Zod, and Brainiac all revealed to the Kryptonian people and in our story. So I find all that very interesting. I don't think it's a mistake that they're doing these reveals. I think with the comic books, they can kind of go back and they can probably find a lot of different Kryptonian stories or stories about Krypton. Maybe they got to fill out seasons, as they go along, if we get a season 2. At the very least, it's moving along. It's not dragging on all season, which I like that. I'm glad to see that, as at the very least, I could be entertained. Going back to the acting again, I think it's a preference with me how I want to see Kryptonians portrayed, as in the Snyder universe. This show chooses to introduce the Genesis Chamber, introduce the idea that this is a society that has been social engineered to perform these specific functions. If we go look at the comic books of Krypton, Kryptonians were thought to be these motionless beings. I think probably my preference is that we get Segel using curse words, and he feels like this type of heroic hero that is more geared to what I would expect to be from an Earth type hero. And I think I would have liked to see him be a bit more alien, and maybe that's part of why I'm having some problems with the acting, having absolutely no problem with the story, having no problem with the set, costumes, everything else. All the other characters, actors, for me, they seem fine. So I'm really, really enjoying this show, guys. With those few things. Now, is it a great show? It's not a great show. It's a good Sci-Fi Channel show, and maybe getting slightly better than that each week. I think the disappointment with me is that the legacy they have on this show with Krypton and with the Superman mythos, I think that they could have done a much better job, absolutely. But that doesn't take away that I think this is an above average sci-fi television show. It doesn't take that away, but this could have been a great show. Surprisingly, they have put up the money. They spared no expense, it seems, with set design. I know that in this week's episode, there were some repeat on sets. It's kind of a joke going around about how they kept running circle and coming back to the same set. I would imagine this show does cost a lot of money and budget is restricted, but I can see where they have spent a great deal of money. And I think for a television show, a sci-fi channel show, that's done a great job. But guys, that's all I want to really say about this week's episode. I did think it was good. I will continue to review Krypton. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen with this Brainiac reveal as he's trying to now pass himself off as a savior. I don't know exactly what his direction is. There is a lot of questions about Brainiac. If he is time traveling to destroy Krypton, why is he seeking out Krypton? Why is he sending probes? Why is he going through all of these steps to, or, what does he have in mind? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.